Joining me is Paul Scully, Conservative Member of Parliament. You are a government minister for small business, so you are on that quaintly phrased, you're on the government payroll.
Voter,
so you have to.
It.
So, I mean, on an issue like this, you have to vote for the Prime Minister.
Well, I mean, I have voted for the Prime Minister. Let's start with that position. But it's a secret ballot. But nonetheless, clearly, if I didn't believe in the Prime Minister, there's no way I could be tenable as to remain as a minister. So, as a matter of principle, I would clearly resign. But that's not my position.
Okay.
I'm supportive of the government. I'm supportive of the Prime Minister.
Why did you support him? The man is believed to be either a liar or a charlatan, or at best has a strange relationship with the truth.
No, look, I think the Prime Minister has, first of all, governed well in terms of all of the big decisions that we've had to make over the last couple of years. He's a brazen kind of guy, which you have to be to get things done over the stasis that we had since actually we were last here on the Green talking about Brexit, that stasis that we had in Parliament for nearly 2 years. He was the guy that got Brexit over the line and broke that deadlock. He then, as we moved into COVID, managed to roll out the vaccination program and is now leading, amongst the leaders of the world's response against the war in Ukraine.
But the Partygate left a stench. It left a feeling in the people that it was unfair. Good example, of course, Dominic Cummings with his nonsense about going off to the castle to test his eyesight. And everybody else, and Johnson didn't fire him. Johnson didn't fire him, he kept him. And there's been a feeling that there's one rule for number 10 people and one rule for the rest of the country.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Prime Minister is loyal. He was loyal to Dominic Cummings. I think Dominic Cummings has clearly let him down, and he's fueling a lot of the unrest against the Prime Minister that's led to this. But you're right, actually, there was a culture in number 10 that I know the Prime Minister regrets. I certainly regret. I get angry about when I read the Sue Gray report and read the full detail about how some of the staff that there's hundreds and thousand odd staff in number 10 in Cabinet Office, how they behaved. And so, first of all, the Prime Minister has right to apologise as the leader. He wouldn't have known everything that was going on.
He apologised. First of all, he weaseled it with lots of, it was a work event. Then he got round it this way. Then I was only there for 5 minutes. Then it was only this. Then he never actually said, do you know something? You're right. We had parties. It was wrong. I'm sorry.
Because I think the thing is, he would not have known all of the detail that was going on. Because you sit there and think he works in the building and he lives next door. You think, okay, it's not like living in a flat and thumping on the wall saying, can you keep the sound down? It just doesn't work like that. So he wouldn't have known everything that went on until Sue Gray came out, which is why he apologised, which is why he's changed a lot of the stuff in number 10 to change the culture.
So he's going to win tonight because there's at least 160 of you who are on the government payroll. So he wins tonight. But how do you handle this view, whether it be John Major, whether it be any of Margaret Thatcher, Theresa May? Once you've had this vote, you're damaged goods, and it's only a matter of time with an egg timer.
There's only one way you can deal with that, and that's to deliver. We've got the massive inflationary pressures, we've got supply pressures, we've got a tight labour market. People are struggling at the moment, and we need to respond to that. We need to deliver on our manifesto, deliver on our promises in that manifesto, so that people can actually say, yes, I gave you an 80-seat majority in 2019, and this is what we've got as a result of it come the next general election in 2 years' time.
But let's take the by-elections coming up. Now, one of them, Wakefield, of course, is a good example. I mean, if that goes badly for you, then the whole levelling up, this idea of a new blue wall, this idea of the Tories are back in the north for the first time if ever, then that falls apart.
No, it doesn't fall apart, but it's mid-term. We are in mid-term in elections. But hold on a sec, but in mid-term in elections, we are actually literally only 4% behind in the polls at the moment. The poll that came out today, despite everything that's going on at the moment, we're 4% behind Labour. Labour clearly need to be 10% or more to be forming that majority. So it's not going to be easy for us. I'm not saying it's going to be easy for us at all, but there is this gravitational pull that people want Boris to deliver.
What's the one thing now that, besides get away from the political it's time to deliver, which I understand, and that's true, that's your manifesto. But as an MP, as a member of the party, forget you're a government minister, what's the one thing you want to see Boris Johnson now do, personally? Him, the man, the way he leads.
I want him to continue the change that he's made in number 10, so that actually there's a clear sense of communication between number 10 and the parliamentary party over there, and number 10 and the members, the ordinary members and the councillors up and down the country. But then I want him to actually demonstrate over the next week or two to actually say, this is the plan that I've got for the cost of living, this is what I've got, the plan that I've got for growing the economy, for getting us out of our overheated housing market, especially in London and the South East.
You're the Minister for Small Business. And it is Quest means business. I just want to very quickly. I mean, small business is going to be clobbered in this country, like it is elsewhere. I'm not saying it's unique to Britain. There's not much you can do. You're heading for a recession.
I think we are going to be, it's going to be really difficult over the next year. But I think if you look at the predictions, the forecasts, that we are actually due in the following year to come out quite well out of the, in terms of the G7, in comparison to the G7. But we've got to knuckle down and actually remain confident about the fundamentals of the UK economy, which I still believe are good. But that will only work if we actually, as I say, deliver on that plan for growing the economy rather than being doom and gloom and worrying about the bubble within Westminster.
Minister, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.